Hi everyone, I'm Tim Kitzrow. This is not NBA Jam. This is a paid-for introduction for Big Rye and the Fat Guy. Whoa, boom shakalaka.
Yeah, you were a disaster. What's up, YouTube? It's the NFL picks against the spread. For Week 8 for the 2022-2023 NFL season. Fat Guy 7-7 this week, 59-47-2, good for 55.7% against the spread, which is actually pretty damn good. On to the Thursday night game, Baltimore Ravens at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Bucks +1 at home. 16% of early bettors are on the infamous Tom Brady-led Buccaneers. Fat Guy, who you got?
I think this is going to shoot up to Ravens -2.5. I like the Ravens. I like getting on them. Yeah, I don't even mind reverse teasing to -2.5. I haven't done the math on that. Like, it feels like the books are pretty in tune with it, but there's an argument for certain teams that are more likely to have a distribution that is, I always use Buffalo. Buffalo is way more likely to blow out a spread or lose a game, right? So I can't say for this certainly that, you should reverse tease it right now, but I do think this line will settle on Baltimore -2.5 just because there's negative sentiment around Tampa Bay, and that's because we have some pretty unlikely results. Losing 21-3 to the PJ-led XFL MVP, I think he is.
The
Big Rye has to fact check.
Panthers.
Yes. That sends that. First of all, if you haven't been kicked out of Survivor by Tampa Bay, it's inevitable you will be, right? Like that really sticks in people's craw. And losing to Pittsburgh outright as well. Like those are things that, like, at a minimum is going to make the average bettor run away from the window. I don't know if they're going to run away from the wicket. I like wicket. It sounds better. I don't know if they're going to run to the Ravens, but I think at this price, at this time, Ravens -1 is a nice pickup, and I do see it shifting to Ravens -2.5. I mean, what a difference, 2 months make, right? If we were to predict this line,
2 days, like this line wasn't even where this was a couple days ago. And right now, Baltimore -1 at Pinnacle is -116. You tease them up to 2.5, it's just even. So this line really is pushing all the way up there, just with the juice
already.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a question for you. What do you think this line would have been as a look ahead preseason? I have a number in my head.
It's going to be somewhere between Tampa Bay -2.5, -3.5. I think like -3,
Tampa -3. I have Tampa -3 all day, and now not the case, and I think rightfully so. I think it'll close at Baltimore -2.5, and I think there will be some closing line value. I don't mind Baltimore -2.5 at even money on Pinnacle at the moment. Please and thank you, Baltimore Ravens, in the contest and in real life.
Fat Guy, on to the very early Sunday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time London game, Jacksonville's home game of the year. Denver Broncos at Jacksonville in London, -2.5 point favorites for Jacksonville. 61% of early bettors are on Jacksonville at either -2.5 or -3 against the spread. Fat Guy, who you got?
In this case, it'll be a contest pick. Jacksonville -2.5. Jacksonville has better Wembley results than they do at home, but I mean the samples are just, you can't draw too much. But it is interesting. It does feel like it's a real home field advantage for them, considering how well they've done. I'm not sure their record. I think it's 5-2, which is astonishing. Again, I just pulled 5-2. We're gonna get corrected right here. If I'm Joe Rogan, I guess you're Jamie. I'd never watch that show, and that for good reason. That being said, it will be Jacksonville -2.5. I know a lot of early people got Denver +3.5. I would like that number, and I wonder, this has got to be a strong middle, I would think. I think the middle, the chances of it landing on 3, the push frequency is probably like 11%. So if you're able to get that middle, Jacksonville to Denver, or Denver +3.5, Jacksonville -2.5. I think that's the way to go if you're one of the early bettors. But I mean, you shouldn't be. If I'm saying this already, if you're listening to this and you have Denver +3.5, you know what you're doing. Like that was just an easy gobble up, right? So that being said, this will be a contest pick. Jacksonville -2.5.
I'm just counting up these wins, so they're
counting them up.
1-2, 2-2, 3-2, 3-3, 3-4, 4-4. So they're 4-4 in those games, and then this is
way worse than what I thought. But 4-4 for the Jags is still that's a boon. That's a boon. I thought it was better. I swear that game against Baltimore where they won like 44-10 or whatever, that one always just sticks out at me.
Well, I doubt they've been 500 over those times, so it has been a better. They probably haven't been 500 at home over that time.
No.
Who cares? We're not talking about anything now. Pittsburgh Steelers at the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles -11. 42% of early bettors on the Eagles. Fat guy, who you got?
We'll go with the cover kings. We'll go with the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is doesn't it just feel weird taking the Steelers in points every week?
Well,
you know what I mean? Not
points, like
yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, not that we've been taking it every week, but the offering is there. Do you know what I mean? It just seems strange. You know, we're definitely gonna take a Steelers. Definitely take 11 points. I don't know how I feel about it in real life. So Philadelphia is an interesting team in terms of I'm not sure how their score distribution is. Like, do they run it up? Not really. They play like
they've been winning
a controlled
by an average
offense.
Of 9 points a game.
Yeah, but like, are they like Buffalo or Kansas City? Like 3rd and 11, they run all goes and get a 57-yard reception to Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Like, who calls that? Like, that Buffalo and Kansas City does. I just feel like
points per game. Like point differential per game, they're just ahead of Kansas City. And then Jalen Hurts, as far as quarterback NEA goes, there's a little bit of
second.
A gap, but he's 4th, and he's behind Josh Allen, Tua, and Patrick Mahomes.
Mahomes, yeah.
But there is a gap. There is a healthy gap between those guys. Almost.
Is NEA taking into account rushing?
I don't know exactly.
That's I always wondered that. Anyways, I could easily check. That being said, we're going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I'm interested to see how this shakes out. I find this Eagles team very interesting. I actually kind of like them.
So NEA is passing yards minus sack yards plus 20 times passing touchdowns minus 45 times interceptions divided by passes attempted plus times sacks. So it has nothing to do with rushing. It's all passing stuff with all the fancy things. So they've done well passing the ball, but it doesn't account for the improved running that they have over at least Tua.
Hurts rushing is invaluable.
Yeah. All right, we're taking the Steelers on to the next game. It's the New England Patriots at the New York Jets. Jets plus 2.5 at home, 27% of early bettors on the Jets, but I do believe this line is starting to creep down closer to Jets +1. So it's interesting, even though a majority of the bettors are on New England, Fat Guy, the line is moving in favor of the Jets.
That would indicate that there's some big Jets bettors, which is hard to like. When's the last time you said that? You know what I mean? But rightfully so. Like, it's not like the Jets have been amazing. The spots have been pretty good. Like, I got Jets plus 2.5 on the weekend, and I got under 39.5. Like, that's pretty good. It's pretty good if you're able to see where these things are going. And I'm assuming they're going to be playing against Bailey Zappi. The benching of Mac Jones, I wonder, like, does Bailey Zappi actually give you a better chance of winning this game? It's one to ponder.
Better this year. There's only been so many snaps, but he's been the better player between him and Mac Jones. But I think you're getting average quarterback play from either of them.
Yes, I agree, and I don't think they have higher like a very big gap in their production. Like, I think the basement's relatively high, like high in terms of being average. And the ceiling is relatively limited. I don't think either guy can really blow you away, blow your hair back, as they say. I think that's a little bit different for the New York Jets with Zach Wilson at quarterback. That being said, though, the Jets seem a little bit more refined. It's so weird to say that. Like, I think the Jets this is a nice spot here, and I think if you can get it at 2.5, this is definitely the way to go. Like, I don't see how this wouldn't close at Jets -1. Like, that's as far as I could see it going. So, in the contest and in real life, Jets plus 2.5. You can get that number.
On to the next game, Fat Guy, which is going to be the Carolina Panthers traveling to Atlanta to take on the Falcons, who are 4-point favorites at home. 53% of early bettors are on the Cover King Falcons, who I think lost against the spread finally this past week.
Yeah,
but
they got blown out by Cincinnati.
They were perfect the first 6 weeks.
Yes, they were. That's Big Rye used as an indicator for a strong head coaching is when you're defying expectations. It's actually an interesting metric. I think it's better like at a glance, and as far as like easy metrics go, he's probably right. That being said, we're going to take Atlanta. We're going to lay the 4 points. I think there's the prior they're going to use a statistical term on the Panthers is going to be the Steve Wilkes coaching with the PJ Walker quarterbacking and the success they had against a floundering Tampa Bay, and I think that could offset it. Like, it's weird to say that I think Atlanta should be 5.5-point favorites against anybody, but in this spot, I actually think they should be. I don't know what this is going to close at. I have a very poor barometer in my brain, I think, for this game because I really don't know what the sentiments are going to be. That being said, I think 4 is a good number. I'm not ready to lay it in real life, but as far as the contest goes, Atlanta -4 speaks to me.
I feel like 4 is not enough, but then looking at just some of the analytics and stuff, I think this line is like almost spot on. I don't know if there's that much value either way, but I do like Atlanta as far as a pick goes. On to the next game, Las Vegas at New Orleans. New Orleans +1 at home, 44% of early bettors on the Saints. Fat Guy, who you got?
This one I'm actually just interested in watching. I'm going to be taking the Las Vegas Raiders, going to lay the 1 point. I think this has some point of intrigue. I actually prefer the coaching much more of the New Orleans Saints, but it's hard to say the Raiders don't have a stronger roster. I think this is probably about right. I don't like what I just did with the, using the A and B terms to come up with justifications for a line or justifications why it's offside or off kilter. That being said, I really just want to watch this game. Purely a contest pick, Las Vegas -1.
Fat Guy, on to the next game. Chicago Bears at the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys 10.5-point favorites at home. 30% of early bettors are on the Cowboys. Fat Guy, that Monday night performance by Chicago has to affect these 70% of people on Chicago at 10.5.
It has, because the line in most places is 9.5. If you can get to 10.5, I think it's a very strong number. 10 being a key number, and even more so in a matchup like this. I think that's just too many points. In real life, if I can get 10.5, which I may or may not have already, I would be taking the Chicago Bears. I think that's a good number. I think this closes at 8.5. I actually do. I think there's positive sentiments around the Chicago Bears and negative in terms of quarterback play from the Dallas Cowboys. So I think people are, when there's like, just because Dak hasn't exactly played very well so far, so people, it might make squares abstain, whereas Chicago money, I think, will come in because, that performance, this amount of points, they'll see it as a very similar game. That doesn't mean in reality that's what it is, but I could see this closing at Chicago +8.5. I think 10.5 is a great number for the contest, and in real life, Chicago Bears +7.5.
In a very limited sample, these are the guys around Dak Prescott's NEA. We've got Jameis Winston, Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan, Joe Flacco, and Mac Jones. So it just shows you in his limited playing time, it hasn't been very strong so far for Dak. On to the next game, Miami Dolphins at the Detroit Lions. Detroit +3 at home, 9% of early bettors. Only 9% on Detroit at +3. Fat Guy, who you got?
We're going to lay the points. We're going to take the Miami Dolphins. I don't love this one. I kind of like the Lions at 3.5, but at 3, we're going to take the Miami Dolphins. I could see this closing at Miami -3.5. That's actually probably right. I say I like Detroit Lions. Do I really? You know what I mean? It's hard to say. I really don't like the coaching in Miami so far. But I think 3 is a good number. It's probably going to push on 3 a lot higher than most would expect, but this is going to be a contest pick. It's going to be Miami -3, and I do really wish, I wish the Lions would have better results. I do, but I mean, wish in one hand, what in the other, and we'll see what fills up first. So, Miami -3.
Arizona Cardinals at the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings 3.5-point favorites at home. 59% of early bettors are on the Vikings, who have been who've got good results to start the year. But DeAndre Hopkins, I'm sure people are excited as far as the betting public goes to have him back. I know your thoughts, but maybe you want to share them with the viewers at home.
I generally don't care about receivers. I especially despise the receiver. The receiver for me encompasses what I don't like. Like, I like linemen. Bring your lunch pail. Don't complain. The receivers are such divas. Like, someone sent me DeAndre Hopkins had like a coming back video. Like, he made a video on social media. It's just corny. I don't think that they like add that much value. They really don't. Some of the analytics community really likes receivers and stuff like that. The only thing I will say in positive about them is that, if you are to make a big trade or a big signing for one, they might carry more future value, because the rules seem to favor them a lot. And it's not like they make rule changes that are more difficult. I mean, there are more offensive pass interferences than I can believe, or than I can remember rather than believe. But there are a lot more PIs and defensive holding than the last few years, and holy smokes, 10 years ago. So it's like not even close. So, I mean, the rules do benefit them. Like, corners are probably the best athletes in all of the NFL, but receivers do have the rule benefit. All of that being said, it's a complete aside to this game. I'm going to be taking the Minnesota Vikings. I'm going to lay 3.5. I think this won't move. I think it's more likely to go to Minnesota -5.5 than Minnesota -3. For that reason, I do like laying this number. But I don't love it. I'm not going to be taking it in real life. That's full disclosure. So it'll be a contest pick. Minnesota Vikings -3.5 points.
On to the Tennessee Titans at the Houston Texans, and Texans +1 at home. 33% of early bettors are on the Texans against the spread. Fat guy, who you got?
At 1, Tennessee. I think it's just going to close at Tennessee -3. As I look over, the juice has already shifted pretty heavy. That it's more like Tennessee -2.5. So at 1, get down on Tennessee. As long as you're not laying like currently what I see -124 on my screen over here. I'm always looking yonder because I'm just curious, where the numbers have moved even since we've sat down to shoot this video. So I think this is going to close Tennessee -3. And if you can get Tennessee -1, -115 or less, I highly recommend doing so. Tennessee in real life, Tennessee in the contest, all the way up to, -1 good juice.
On to the next game, which is the Washington Commanders at the Indianapolis Colts. Colts -3 at home. 39% of early bettors are on the Colts. Fat guy, who you got?
It's two backup quarterbacks playing. I have a lot more faith in Taylor Heineke. I think 3 points is pretty good. Give me the Commanders. Give me the 3 points. I mean, normally you don't want to handicap stuff. And then you could also argue, like, how do you say his last name? Ellinger, yeah. He should be an upgrade from the current levels of Matt Ryan. Maybe so, but I still don't think that, Matt Ryan can play well. We haven't really seen it, but it is possible. I'm not sure that you're going to get the same thing from Ellinger. So that's already factored into the line, but I think 3 is a strong number, and it's more. I think it's going to be close at 3 bad juice for Washington. I don't think it'll make the jump to 2.5 or 3.5. I think those are just too big in jumps. So the bet in just in the contest will be the selection rather will be Washington +3.
Fat guy, on to the next game. San Fran at the LA Rams. Rams +1 at home. 28% of early bettors are on the Rams. So the public all over San Fran to start this game. Fat guy, do you have any strong thoughts either way?
No, I definitely don't. I'll take LA Rams, pure contest pick. I will say I was completely disgusted with the San Francisco performance on the weekend. It was really tough to watch. Really tough to watch a team get beat like that. It's almost so funny too. They're up 10-0, and you go, "Oh, it's the Chiefs." It means absolutely nothing, and the market reflects that. You're not like they're like even money up 10. You know what I mean? Like it's just crazy. Maybe not even money. I think it was -140, but still, that doesn't make any sense. That being said, I'm going to take the LA Rams. This is purely a contest pick. I don't have a feeling either way about the game.
On to the next game, which is actually here's a 5-star entertainment game for a lot of people.
Actually
The
is.
New York Giants at the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks at -3 at home. 59% of early bettors are on the Seahawks. Fat guy, who you got?
Okay, this is interesting. This is 5-star entertainment. You can't argue that Geno Smith's played really well, and Big Blue keeps winning. It is interesting. Is this not interesting? It absolutely is. I think it's more interesting than Rams San Fran, who's supposed to be in the upper echelon of teams. I think this offers much more value in terms of entertainment. We're going to take Big Blue. We're going to take 3 points. I don't have a feeling either way about this. I think the line is about right. And Fat Guy, how could you say that? Big Blue they have one loss against Dallas Cowboys on primetime, and they've won every other game. So I think, are they 6-1?
I'm not sure, but they've got they're 8th for point differential, the Giants are, and then Geno Smith 5th in quarterback NEA. 5th.
Yeah, because he's playing awesome.
Yeah,
playing awesome. Crazy. And I used to dog him all the time and talk about how trash he was. But I always I realized something I did all the time is I hated players for where they're drafted. Well, just because the guy got drafted too high, it's not his fault. The guy's dreams came true on that day. It's not his fault. And I give Geno Smith a ton of credit. You know how hard it is to stay in the league when you're actually, he wasn't a good quarterback to start. He must have worked extremely hard to get to where he is. And he's playing better than the guy they had before him, is right now. You can't argue that he's not having a better season than Russell Wilson. It's not even close. He's a threat. He is an offensive threat. They have one of the worst defenses in the league, and he is making their team competitive every single week. It's actually the best storyline, perhaps, of the entire season. So good on the Seahawks. I want to see this game, but in the contest, it'll be Big Blue +3.
And then on to the Sunday night game where the Green Bay Packers travel to Buffalo to take on the Bills, who are 10.5-point favorites at home. 53% of early bettors are on the Bills. Fat Guy, Aaron Rodgers, and double-digit underdog. Something that I don't think I'd ever see.
No, definitely not. And rightfully so. We're taking the Bills. The Bills can cover any spread. I always wonder, what's can I get +270, +280 on Bills -16.5? Because I always say this every week, but I think Green Bay's money line prices probably favors them, and I think the spread favors Buffalo. Buffalo can just beat anyone by any amount almost, but they do it at risk of losing a game. I really feel that. That being said, I'm laying the points with Buffalo here. I think it's completely reasonable, 10.5. I mean, if you told me this at the start of the year, I would think, well, if I was handicapping this game in my head, I'd be like Buffalo -3.5. That's what my thought would have been.
If it was 10.5, you just assume that Rodgers was hurt.
Yes, I would. That's very, very interesting.
That's about
point.
That gap, right? That's that 7 points or so that usually a starting quarterback
7 key, right? Because it's going to 10.5. So, I hate the one thing that people do. They go, "Oh, so and so player is worth about X amount of points." That doesn't work because the point between 2.5 and 3.5 is enormous. The gap between 4.5 and 5.5 is nothing. So you have to put it in terms of win probability. So the easiest way is to convert the money line into implied probabilities. Then you remove the juice, and then what you do is then you compare the before the injury and after, and you see where the win probabilities change, and that'll tell you the value of a player. That's the easiest way to do it. Anyways, went long on that. Buffalo -10.5.
Fat Guy just saying the fanciest way to do it, but just compare money lines. That's the simple.
Yeah, but it give you more. You want accuracy, Big Rye.
Yeah, Cincinnati Bengals at the Cleveland Browns. Browns +3 at home. 8% of early bettors are on the Browns. Fat Guy, who you got?
We're gonna take Cincinnati -3. I think it closes at Cincinnati -4.5. I think there's closing line value on this bet. My poor Brownies. It's just tough. It's tough when you don't have the quarterback play to match the roster. It just makes things tough. It's hard to watch almost. You know what I mean? Because the Browns have a better roster than the Cincinnati Bengals when you have Deshaun Watson at quarterback. I've said it. I'll say it. And don't point out these receivers and Joe Burrow being X amount better than Deshaun Watson. I talk about the team as a whole. Look at the pass rush of the Browns. The offensive line of the Browns. They are a better team overall, but in this spot, Joe Burrow versus Jacoby Brissett. Quarterback play counts for something. -3 is a good number. Give me the Bengals at -3.
That is it. So we're on to the lightning round. Fat guy. Baltimore Ravens at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Ravens -1.
Denver Broncos at Jacksonville Jaguars.
Jags -2.5.
Steelers Eagles.
The big dog Steelers in the points.
New England Patriots at the New York Jets.
Give me the Jets.
Carolina Panthers at the Atlanta Falcons.
Falcons.
Raiders Saints.
Raiders.
The Chicago Bears at the Dallas Cowboys.
The Chicago Bears in the points.
Dolphins Lions.
Laying it with Miami.
Cards Vikings.
Minnesota -3.5.
Titans Texans.
Tennessee -1.
Commanders Colts.
Heineke in the points.
Niners Rams.
Rams +1.
Giants traveling to Seattle.
Big Blue. Let's go.
Packers Bills.
Laying big points with the Bills.
And then Monday night, the divisional rival Cincinnati Bengals at the Cleveland Browns.
Cincinnati -3.
Congratulations to Kev the Great, going 12-2. Good for 86% against the spread. Week 7, 12-2 is that is an excellent week. And there was a lot of people that did well this week. Addie's Daddy 11-3. Jones in for Johnson 10-4. CEO Eric Hayden continues his strong play at 10-4. Brady's marriage counselor with an MVP like JS715 name of the week that we are going to see soon. Jake Ware 10-4, as well as Starfire Laser Debt, Josh Allen, and Smokehouse Bacon Cheeseburger, all going 9-5 against the spread. Fat guy, we were 7-7 this week, but CEO Eric Hayden has taken a commanding lead, 66-40-2, good for 62.3%. Fat guy. That is spectacular after 100.
He's so good that with his mind, he can change a Mercedes SUV into a Buick.
On to the JS715 name of the week, honorable mentions.
I have dreams about Fat Guy, but nightmares about Big Rye. He is more sinister. Down to the core, it's not even close. I'm at least more transparent. So it looks like he's nicer. There's no joke, just fire Hackett. I agree. Scoring TDs was so 2021. I agree. When Fat Guy talks about the spread, does that make Big Rye's line move? Of course it does. Man boobs, fun to look at, but useless at night. I agree. Excuse me. Peanut Arbuckle. Eagles have screwed me on ATS for 6 weeks. Not this time. The Fat Guy looks like he gives toothbrushes to kids on Halloween. Hold on. That is the closest to someone's come at hurting my feelings. The challenge is still open. That didn't quite do it, but I am willing to give out a consolation prize considering how good that is. So we'll keep touching on it. We'll see if that's the closest someone came to hurting my feelings.
This is the JS715 name of the week. Whoa, kaboom!
What's the spread for Fat Guy's daughter's basketball game? Considering we made a lot of CEO Eric Hayden jokes, and it's weird to say that you're like a Sam Hyde fan. It just seems lame to say that. I am, though. It's the cat's out of the bag. I do like it. I like $1 Million Extreme, and that's one of my favorite sketches, and that's a very, very, very clever name, and it deserves JS715 name of the week.
Thank you to all of our channel members: Blurry Blends, Colton Armitage, Dan Dickerson, J Mac, Jamie Gonzalez, Josh Allen, Mickey Hill, Pimus, Ronald Fowler, The Figure Skater, Untouchable J, and Zella Lem. Appreciate you guys. $5 a month. Support us if you like the channel. Just
Very
hit the
nice
join
of you guys.
Down below. Make your picks against the spread for week 8 at BigRyanTheFatGuy.com. And Fat Guy, that's it. That's the week 8 picks in the book. Is there anything here that you find has any type of value, anything that's sticking out to you? I know some of these lines have adjusted now, but
Chicago, if you can get Chicago 10.5, I think that's pretty good. Other than that, like, it's nothing's amazing, you know what I mean? So that would be the one I would like, and Baltimore I like too. So
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for watching Week 8 in the books. Good luck for your picks and your bets in Week 8.